Hello, parents and students of New Life Preparatory Academy. Today, I would like to just show you all a couple of tips that we can use while we're working with our students at home. Some of these things you may not have thought about, but this will kind of help your student when they're working on math as well as ELA, spell, and phonics, and so on and so forth. First of all, I would like to show you how to make just a simple place value chart for either second, third grade, or third grade. Depending on how high the numbers we are working on will depend on how many slits you will want to make. First off, you start off with just plain paper. If you don't have plain paper, you can use construction paper, you can use notebook paper. The main thing is you just need to be able to fold it in half. Then you're going to cut your slits. For this one, I only went up to the hundredths place. So I only cut 2 slits so that I will have a place for the ones, the tens, and the hundredths place. And for this one, I went up to the 10,000s place. Students are learning that every number has a value. And with this little tool here, students can make up their own numbers and take their numbers and place it under the value of what that number is worth. So here I have the number 231. And remember, when students are saying their numbers, that they are not to put the word and in the number, or we'll be talking about decimals. So 231, not 231, because a lot of them are getting into the habit of doing that. So my 231, then I will ask my child, well, what is the value of the number 3? And then they will place it in the place value chart. So 231, that 3 is going to go in the tens place. The 2, of course, will go in the hundreds place, and then the 1 in the ones place. You can either do it like this, or in the notebook, if you want to keep it in a notebook, you can use sticky notes and do the same exact thing, and then they'll be able to close the book afterwards. When they're using it, they can simply just place the number under the value that it belongs. So this will also make their notebook interactive. That interactive meaning that they can go back and use it as a reference, or to actually do activities with it. Also, a great tool for students to have is a ruler. The ruler can be used for measuring, because we are getting into measurement in both second and third grade, as well as for counting. Here is my measuring tape that I use at the house. So this can also be a useful tool for students for counting, adding and subtracting. Not all students will need this, but some of our students do. The way that you will use this tool, for example, if I ask, I use this one, what is 10 plus 5? I will first have my student to find the number 10, the first add-in, 10, and then I will tell them to jump 5 spaces, like a frog. So they will jump 1, oh, I'm not at 10, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that number that they are at, that is going to be their sum. So they're putting 2 add-ins together to make a sum using the measuring tape or the ruler. Also, something that you might have at your fingertips are beans. These are great counters for students. Beans, or just little small things that they're not going to eat. that they're not going to eat, because you don't want them to be distracted while they're doing their homework. So something that is dry, that they cannot eat, use as their counters, place in a container or place in a plastic baggie for them, for those students that might need that. That's for math. Now, for ELA, phonics, we're going to be reading a lot of stories. We are going to be reading a lot of stories. So it is important for students to know what the beginning of the story is about, what the middle of the story is about, and what the end of the story is about. So just like I made the place value little chart here, you're going to do the same exact thing, but you're going to put B for beginning, M for middle, and E for end. And what you can do is take a piece of construction paper, fold it, and cut your slits in there. And then take a white piece of paper, slip it in here like this, so that the student will be able to write the beginning, middle, and ending of their stories. Also, here's another little something that you can also do, because it's important for students to know the components of a story. The components of the story are what makes the story ride smoothly, or make a smooth transition from the beginning, middle, and end. So here I have written the characters. Then the students need to always know who the characters are in the story. The setting is where the story takes place. Plot, the plot is what the story is all about. Conflict, the conflict is when there's a problem in the story that needs to be fixed. And the resolution is how the conflict has been fixed, or how the problem was solved in the story. So what I did with this, I just kind of folded it so that I have the components of the story, my characters, setting, plot, conflict, and resolution. So these are helpful for students so that you can probe them as they are reading. Well, who are the characters of the story? What took place in the story? Can you tell me where the setting is? Where did the story take place? Was there a problem in the story? How was the problem solved? Who solved the problem? You're able to ask your child questions and probe them after they have read their story, or while they're reading their story. Because sometimes you have to stop during a story and just make sure that the child is taking in the information and comprehending. Probe them so that they will be able to answer questions, or answer questions that are related to the story. One other thing that I have made, similar to the beginning, middle, and end for stories, and similar to the place value. Some of our students still need a little bit of help in phonics, blending their sounds. So what I have created here is another little tool for them to give the beginning sound of a word, the middle sound of a word, and the ending of the word. All of these little things can be made at home. It is great to have sticky notes at home, construction paper, even white paper, whatever you can afford at the time. I do understand that we're all kind of struggling right now, but just whenever or whatever you have, just take a look around your house, and there's things at home that I'm sure that you'll be able to use to help with aiding students while they're learning. We want learning to be fun. I'm gonna work very hard to get our students where they need to be for their next school year. I want when they go back to school, I want it to be as if they were sitting in the classroom. That is my goal. So I don't want children to fall behind. If you need help, please let me know. But these are some things that we will be utilizing in the classroom And these are also some great things that you guys can do at home, since right now I won't be able to be with the students physically. So that's all I have for you all for right now. Make sure that your students have notebooks and make them fun to look at and interactive. Even with math problems, the sticky notes are great. When students are doing especially word problems, it is great to use little sticky notes so they can draw pictures, make arrays, build their numbers so that they can come up with an equation for their word problem and work out their problem. So these are great to have with math and ELA. Thank you for listening. I hope those were helpful hints, and I will talk with you all soon. Goodbye.